The saloon buzzed with life, a warm glow spilling from its wooden doorways into the cool evening air. Laughter rang out, mingling with the lively tunes played by a piano in the corner, where a man in a battered hat skillfully danced his fingers across the keys. The patrons sat at scarred wooden tables, their mugs filled to the brim with frothy beer and whiskey, while others leaned against the bar, sharing tales of their latest adventures. A group of cowboys boisterously debated the best cattle routes, their animated gestures nearly spilling drinks onto the floor. In one corner, a couple engaged in a spirited game of cards, eyes darting suspiciously to each other. The aroma of roasted meat wafted in from the kitchen, making stomachs rumble in anticipation. As night fell deeper, the flickering lanterns cast shadows that danced along the walls. The saloon felt like a small world of its own, alive with camaraderie and excitement. It was in this vibrant setting that something unforgettable was about to happen, though no one could have predicted the entrance of a mysterious figure who would soon steal the spotlight: the enchanting woman in red. The saloon doors swung open with a creak, and the chatter faded into an awed silence as she entered. The woman in red stepped inside, her striking dress hugging her figure and shimmering like flames in the soft light. Her confident stride drew every eye, transforming the lively atmosphere into one of hushed fascination. As she moved gracefully across the floor, the red fabric swirled around her legs, catching the flickering lantern light. The sound of her heels clicked against the wooden planks, punctuating the whispers that spread through the crowd. Patrons paused mid-conversation, their mugs halfway to their lips, captivated by her presence. She scanned the room with a mysterious smile, as if she knew exactly the effect she had on those around her. A few cowboys straightened up in their seats, eyes wide with curiosity and admiration. Even the piano player seemed to lose his rhythm for a moment, struck by her beauty. With every step she took toward the bar, it was clear that this woman was not just an ordinary traveler. She was someone who held secrets and stories waiting to unfold, a true enigma wrapped in vibrant red. As the woman in red glided toward the bar, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. Eyes widened, and whispers filled the air as regulars exchanged glances, each person experiencing a rush of emotions. Some patrons leaned in closer, their interest piqued. A young cowboy named Jake, with a twinkle of curiosity in his eye, nudged his friend and said, "Who do you think she is? I've never seen anyone like her before." Meanwhile, at another table, a group of women eyed her with envy. They whispered among themselves, adjusting their own dresses and tossing their hair back in an attempt to reclaim some attention. "She's just here for the night," one scoffed, crossing her arms defensively. "She won't last long in this town." In contrast, an older man with a weathered face watched quietly from his corner seat. He seemed to sense something deeper about her presence, a story untold that resonated with him. Others remained skeptical, raising eyebrows and sharing knowing smirks, but even they couldn't hide their intrigue. The saloon buzzed with chatter as everyone tried to piece together this enchanting newcomer's identity, while she confidently took her place at the bar, setting the stage for what was sure to be an unforgettable evening. As the woman in red settled onto a bar stool, hushed conversations bubbled around her. Patrons exchanged curious glances, whispering theories about her past. "I heard she's a traveling performer," one man speculated, his eyes gleaming with excitement, "just passing through town with stories and songs to share." Another replied skeptically, "More like she's running from something or someone." The talk swirled like the smoke from the nearby fireplace, suggesting various tales of adventure and intrigue. Some claimed she had been spotted in faraway towns, dancing gracefully on stage, while others believed she belonged to a noble family that had fallen from grace. "Look at her," a woman murmured enviously to her friends. "She must have a secret life. No one can just waltz in here looking like that without a story." In the corner, the older man continued to watch intently, sensing that her charm held more than mere beauty. There was depth in her eyes, a flicker of pain or perhaps longing, that hinted at experiences yet to be revealed. As the saloon buzzed with speculation, it became clear that this woman was more than just a captivating figure. She was a puzzle waiting to be solved. As the woman in red settled onto her barstool, the saloon's atmosphere thickened with anticipation and curiosity. The lively buzz transformed into a collective hush, punctuated by occasional whispers. Eyes darted back and forth, drawn toward her like moths to a flame. Regulars who had once been engaged in their conversations now stole glances in her direction, trying to capture every detail of her presence. The laughter that once rang out among friends faded, as if everyone had suddenly become fixated on this enchanting newcomer. A few patrons leaned toward one another, whispering excitedly, their voices barely above a hush. "Did you see the way she moved?" one man remarked, both awe and envy lacing his words. "She must know she's turning heads." Fixtures of the saloon began to shift. Even the piano player seemed to instinctively play softer notes, as if acknowledging the change in energy. The earlier rambunctiousness gave way to an electrifying tension that hung palpable in the air. With each minute that passed, the impact of the woman in red grew more pronounced, transforming the saloon from a place of casual revelry into a stage filled with intrigue and the promise of untold stories waiting to unfold. As the evening wore on, Jake, the young cowboy who had been watching from a distance, finally mustered the courage to approach the woman in red. He straightened his hat and wiped his palms on his trousers, taking a deep breath before he stepped forward. "Excuse me, miss," he said, flashing a charming smile that revealed his boyish charm. "I couldn't help but notice you've brought a spark to this old saloon. Mind if I join you?" She turned to him slowly, her lips curling up in a mysterious smile that seemed to hold secrets within. "A spark, you say?" she replied playfully, her voice smooth like honey. "What makes you think I'm not just here to enjoy my solitude?" Jake chuckled, taken aback by her wit. "Well, solitude seems rather dull with all this excitement around. Surely you have stories worth sharing." The woman leaned closer, her expression shifting slightly as if pondering something deep. "Perhaps I do," she said softly, her eyes glinting with intrigue. "But every story has its price. What are you willing to pay?" As the saloon buzzed around them, an undeniable connection sparked between them, filled with curiosity and unspoken promises of adventure yet to unfold. As the evening wore on, the piano player struck up a lively tune that filled the saloon with infectious energy. The woman in red, feeling the rhythm pulse through her, gracefully rose from her seat, captivating everyone's attention once again. Her dress flowed like liquid rubies as she glided toward the dance floor, a confident smile playing on her lips. With each step, the whispers grew louder, and patrons leaned in closer, eager to witness her movements. As the music swelled, she began to dance, her body moving fluidly to the beat. She twirled and spun, her arms weaving a tapestry of elegance in the air. The flickering lantern light reflected off her dress, creating an enchanting glow that mesmerized the crowd. Jake watched in awe, his heart racing as she danced. It was as if she were telling a story through her movements, each turn revealing a new layer of mystery. The saloon erupted into applause and cheers, as even those who had been skeptical moments ago found themselves drawn into her spell. In that moment, she was not just a woman in red. She became the very embodiment of allure and intrigue, captivating every soul in the saloon and leaving them hungry for more. As the woman in red continued to steal the spotlight, an undercurrent of tension began to ripple through the saloon. While patrons were caught in her enchanting spell, some of the regulars found themselves growing increasingly uncomfortable. Their laughter turned into forced smiles, and murmurs of envy trickled through the crowd like a chilling breeze. At a table in the corner, two women exchanged glances, their eyes narrowed with resentment. "Who does she think she is?" one hissed to her friend, bitterness lacing her voice. "Stealing all the attention like that. We've been coming here for years." Across the room, a burly man named Hank leaned against the bar with crossed arms, his brow furrowed in annoyance. "I'm tired of seeing newcomers waltz in here and take over like they own the place," he grumbled to his companion. His jealousy bubbled just beneath the surface as he glanced at Jake, who was still transfixed by the captivating dancer. The atmosphere shifted once more as whispered confrontations emerged among those feeling overshadowed. Frustration mixed with jealousy brewed tension thick enough to slice through, showing that while some were enchanted by her charm, others felt threatened by it. The saloon's energy was teetering on a razor's edge as emotions ran high amid the revelry. As the music faded into a gentle hum, Jake leaned closer, eager to know more about the woman behind the captivating dance. "You've certainly made an impression," he said, a hint of curiosity in his voice. "What brings you to our little town?" She sighed softly, her gaze drifting to the floor as memories washed over her. "Not long ago, I was in another place, far from here," she began, her tone becoming more serious. "I was part of a traveling troupe, performers who brought joy and laughter wherever we went." A shadow passed across her face as she continued. "But one night, everything changed. A sudden storm left us stranded, and it's been hard to keep the dream alive ever since." She paused, searching his eyes for understanding. "I came here hoping to find some inspiration and maybe a new beginning." Jake watched her intently, feeling the weight of her words. The allure of the woman in red deepened with this revelation. She was not just a performer but someone seeking solace from past troubles. The saloon's atmosphere shifted again, filled with compassion and intrigue as patrons listened closely, drawn deeper into her story, each syllable weaving a richer tapestry of mystery around her. Just as the atmosphere began to settle into a supportive buzz, a loud voice cut through the saloon. Hank, the burly patron who had been watching the woman with growing irritation, pushed away from the bar. "Hey, cowboy!" he shouted, focusing on Jake, his face flushed with jealousy. "Why don't you leave that fancy lady alone? You think she's interested in a backwoods boy like you?" Jake turned, surprise etched on his face. "What's your problem, Hank? She can dance and talk to whoever she likes," he replied, trying to stay calm amidst the growing tension. "You're blind if you think she's here for anything but some attention," Hank snapped back, stepping closer as patrons watched with bated breath. The saloon felt electric, every conversation halting as all eyes turned toward the confrontation brewing between the two men. The woman in red looked between them, her expression shifting from intrigue to concern. It was clear she didn't want to be at the center of this skirmish. "Gentlemen, please," she interjected softly, stepping in as peacekeeper. Yet her heart raced, knowing this situation could spiral out of control. In that moment, a sudden tension gripped the room. Would it result in a fight or an unexpected transformation for all involved? As the tension thickened, the woman in red stepped between Jake and Hank, her presence commanding attention. "Enough," she declared, her voice steady yet soothing. "This isn't how we settle differences." The saloon fell silent, all eyes fixed on her as she faced them both. Jake looked at her, surprised but grateful for her intervention. Hank, still bristling with jealousy, seemed taken aback by her confidence. "What do you know about it?" he shot back, but the woman remained unfazed. "I know that your pride doesn't have to lead to a fight," she replied, meeting Hank's gaze unwaveringly. "We're all here to enjoy this night together. Why not join forces instead?" The crowd began to murmur in agreement, sensing the wisdom in her words. Slowly, Hank's expression softened as he glanced around and saw the support of his fellow patrons. "Maybe I was overreacting," he admitted grudgingly. With a nod from Jake and a warm smile from the woman in red, Hank extended a hand. "Let's start fresh," he proposed. The tension that had gripped the room melted away as laughter returned, and the saloon once again erupted into joyful conversation, now united by an unexpected moment of understanding. As the night wound down and the last notes of music echoed through the saloon, the patrons reflected on the evening's events. They would not soon forget the woman in red, whose captivating presence had woven a spell over them all. From her enchanting dance to her heartfelt story, she had transformed an ordinary night into something magical. Conversations buzzed with excitement as they recounted how she had diffused a brewing confrontation, reminding everyone of the importance of camaraderie and joy. "She has a way of bringing people together," one patron remarked, smiling at the memory. Others nodded in agreement, recalling how they had felt an unexpected connection to her. Someone who seemed to understand their struggles and desires. In their hearts, they knew that the woman in red had changed the fabric of their gathering forever. She was more than just a beautiful figure. She was a symbol of hope and inspiration, sparking dreams and igniting courage within them. As they raised their glasses in a toast to her, they agreed that her visit would be a cherished memory, a reminder that even fleeting moments can leave lasting impacts on lives intertwined for just one enchanted evening. As the night faded into the early hours of dawn, the woman in red stood at the saloon's entrance, her silhouette framed by the soft glow of lantern light. The laughter and chatter that had filled the air moments ago began to quiet as patrons turned to catch a final glimpse of her. Jake lingered near the bar, heart racing with unspoken words and a mixture of admiration and longing. "Will we see you again?" he asked, stepping forward as she paused to look back. A playful smile danced on her lips, but her eyes held a depth that suggested many more stories left untold. "Every journey leads to new places," she replied softly, her voice like a whisper weaving through the air. "Perhaps our paths will cross again someday." With a final glance, she stepped out into the cool night, leaving behind an atmosphere thick with mixed emotions. The patrons exchanged glances, some hopeful, others wistful, as they came to terms with her departure. The woman in red had sparked curiosity and wonder in their hearts, igniting fantasies of adventure and daring behind every closed door. As they resumed their conversations, whispers floated through the saloon. Where might she go next? What adventures awaited her? The mystery of the woman in red lingered long after she was gone, forever etching her presence into their memories.